Okay. So for some reason, my internet crashed before. Let's see if see everything runs now. I'm gonna wait. So last time my internet ran for about 15 minutes and then randomly shut off, and I can't find out why. So hey there, Maui. I actually haven't seen you in a chat for a bit. Hey, yeah, I think I fixed it. We'll see if it actually stays up. So I want to answer the question that was asked right before the stream crashed. I really like, which is that somebody said, "Hey, do you think that the PS5 is going to have 100% backwards compatibility?" This is like something I've seen people ask. Is basically we've heard people talk about the idea that PlayStation wants to bring in more backwards compatibility. I think that they'll make it where PlayStation 4 games are playable on PlayStation 5. I don't think we're going to see stuff like, I don't think there will be PlayStation 3 games on the PlayStation 5. Definitely not PlayStation 2 games on the PlayStation 5. I think PS5 is going to try and be like an all new thing. Dreamcast guy, they don't like you answering questions. Or are you running off an NES? No, my internet just sometimes sucks, and I don't know why. I play so many games online, and most stuff will be fine. I upload videos fine. The second I start live streaming, though, all of a sudden my internet's like, bleh. Megalodon asked a great question. He said, "What games from this current gen do you think are going to be remastered for next gen? Loved your channel since 10K subs." Well, thanks so much there, Megalodon. Um, I think that Last of Us, there's a question I've heard people say, which is, what game do you think being released currently will become a classic? I think stuff like Last of Us. I actually, this might be a controversial statement. I think, um, I think that stuff like Uncharted is going to be forgotten. That is a cool game now. I don't think it's going to stick around very long, though. I do think that games like Skyrim are going to be like remastered in like 10 years. Positive emotions. Sorry. Yeah. So positive emotions asked that question that I just answered. Basically, positive emotions. I think that we're going to be able to play PlayStation 4 games on PS5. I don't think 1, 2, or 3 will be on there. What's the worst publisher in your opinion? It's hard to say. I think a lot of people are really trying to clean up their act. I think that there's not really as many evil people in the business as there once was. I still think that certain people like Activision don't have good intentions. Like, I think that Activision, if they could, would screw you every single day of the week and twice on Saturday. Will we see a Dino Crisis remaster? Man, I'd love to. That would be so cool. I love Dino Crisis. Dino Crisis 2 gets weird, and of course, Dino Crisis 3 sucks, but I would love to see Dino Crisis 2 get a full remake. Breath of the Wild or Red Dead 2? That's a tough call, but I would say I like, it's very tough to compare two games that are open world in such different styles. But I actually think I like Breath of the Wild more than Red Dead Redemption 2. And it's by like 0.5%, but I think it's that you can really play Breath of the Wild 10 minutes at a time. You can't really play Red Dead Redemption 2 10 minutes at a time. Did you cave on getting Pokemon Let's Go yet? No, not yet. I might though. I might actually down the line. I'll probably buy Pokemon Let's Go for super cheap someday. Do you think any current games will make it to the PlayStation 5? Yeah, I think that a lot of stuff I think there's about to be a lot of stuff that's cross generation. Michael Tackett says, "Hey, hope you're doing good. Do you think the PlayStation 5 will be shown next summer? Think Sony will show it in the fall of 2019." I think that what Sony is going to do, and most people disagree with this, but I think that Sony is going to show off the PlayStation 5 relatively early next year. I'd say around May. And then once they really kind of get the news out there, they're probably going to start trying to trickle out their own teases for big games. And then when it comes around to PSX, then they'll basically do like a giant, their own solo E3 basically at PSX. And then they'll release it early 2020. Somebody in chat said, sorry for all the PS5 questions. I'm just hyped for it. No, seriously. I think we're all really excited for the PlayStation 5. I think we're in a space now where enough leaks have happened about it and enough news has come out about it that people are really, really eager just to see it. And I think that's really kind of a good thing. Like we're all just kind of on the edge of our seat. I don't think that many people are going to buy it out of the gate. I think a lot of people own the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 has so many games that I don't think that there's going to be that big jumping off point. Whereas I think the PlayStation 4 really exploded out of the gate because the Xbox messed up so bad. It created this hype to purchase it. Because, I mean, let's all face facts. The launch games for the PS4 kind of sucked. And I'm not being mean. I'm just saying that, come on, Knack. Knack may be game of the year, but it's not the best thing ever. Do you live by doing YouTube? Yes, I do. Yep. I just do YouTube videos. I quit my job in 2016. Oh, here's a good one. Joe Schmo says, Dreamcast guy, after hearing that Let's Go reviews are good, are you thinking about buying it? I think it's a good game. It's just not for me. You know, it's the same thing. If I see a great review for a sports game, I'm never going to buy a sports game. Avedon Smith, Avedon, by the way, man, I love your stuff. You do such great stuff. Avedon Smith says, do you see the Final Fantasy VII Remake as a release title for the PlayStation 5? No, I think that we're going to still see I think what they're going to end up doing is probably what they did with Final Fantasy IX, where they dropped Final Fantasy IX right before they released the PlayStation 2. And so a lot of people who bought it ended up playing it on the PlayStation 2. So I think the PlayStation 5 is going to be able to play PlayStation 4 games. And I think that the Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be on PlayStation 4, but mostly played on PlayStation 5. Ooh, Twisted Soul says, Dreamcast guy, you always play old Pokemon games on your old handheld. Why not get Let's Go? I think my main problem with Let's Go is that it doesn't have that spark to me. And that's just me personally, but I think it really comes down to the fact that when I'm playing Pokemon, I'm thinking about building up my team, grinding. I'm thinking about trying to face that next gym leader. When I'm playing Pokemon games, I purposely don't look at any strategy guides or anything. That way I actually have to figure out stuff myself. And something about this game being such an easy, simplified remake of Kanto, it's one of those things where it's not that it's a bad game. I'm sure it's a great game. It's just not my game, you know? What's your opinion on the fact that physical games most likely won't be around the next generation? So, Darth Reggie, I think we are still going to be seeing more. I think we're going to see physical games for another couple generations. So, I was watching something today, and something they were talking about is that physical media is not super important here in America, but in other parts of the world, people are like, so you know how there'll be like physical game collectors here in America where they're like, no, I'm not going to buy Chrono Trigger unless I have a physical copy of Chrono Trigger. I'll never buy a digital version of Chrono Trigger. That's like actual people out there, right? But there's not many of them. Most people in America will buy a game, even if it's digital, as long as it's cheap enough. There are people in other countries who absolutely will not buy a game at all unless it's physical. And that's kind of crazy to me. Like in Japan, people don't really buy MP3s. Everybody buys CDs because the CDs all have such custom art. And it's just crazy to me. Like people are much more fixated on like physical media over there. Let's see here. What's that? Do you think Smash will make the November charts? Why is this super chat up there? The super chat stuck on my screen. There it goes. Do you think Smash will make November charts because of the Switch bundle being sold out in November? No. I mean, no. The thing is, as good as the Switch is selling, it's not really keeping up with the PlayStation 4. So even though a lot of people are buying the Switch bundle of Smash, that's probably only a couple 100,000 people. So it's not enough millions of copies of the game digitally for it to count. I do think that we're going to see that thing top in charts, though. I think that Smash Brothers is going to probably be the best selling game of December. I mean, it doesn't have any competition, and it's probably going to sell 20 million copies like that. Dreamcast guy, best game soundtrack. Obviously, it must be Spider-Man 2. It had the legendary pizza theme. I think one of my favorites is the original Pokemon had an amazing soundtrack. Seriously, the Team Rocket bass music is so good. I think Final Fantasy VII has one of the best soundtracks. Let me think, though. What's one that really kind of blows me away? I think the original Silent Hill. The first Silent Hill probably has my favorite soundtrack because it's so well-rounded. It's spooky, it's unnerving, it really manages to emphasize like loss and fear. How did you meet Spawnwave? Honestly, I don't remember. I've known Spawnwave so long now, I forget. I want to say that Spawnwave reached out to me in an email and said, hey, could you come on my podcast? And I'd never heard of him. I'd never seen him. I think at that point, Spawnwave had like 10,000 subscribers, and I think I had 40,000. And so I was like, yeah, okay, sure, man. You seem cool. And then I ended up coming on it again a couple months later, and we ended up talking a bunch. And now me and Spawnwave are good buddies. Let's see here. Do you know Metal Jesus and Rerez? Sort of. Metal Jesus and Rerez. So Rerez I consider a friend. Rerez I've met in real life, and Rerez and I talk business secretly sometimes. Metal Jesus knows who I am. I've met him at conventions, and he said that he's watched my videos, but we never had a chance to talk. Like every time me and Metal Jesus cross paths, we're basically both running to do something at a convention. So I've never really talked to him, but I wish I could. Honestly, Metal Jesus is a really smart dude. Like, I feel like there are some YouTubers who get really famous and they're really dumb and they're like, hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to be talking about dead bodies. Blah, blah, blah. Metal Jesus isn't like that. Like, Metal Jesus is a seriously smart dude. Someone said, what's up, Dreamcast guy? You rock. Let's see. The Icarus donated $5 and said, with the guaranteed success of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, do you think Sony might try their hands again with a sequel to PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale? Let me take a sip and think about that for a second. That's a really good question. Holy heck. I don't think that they'll do something straight along those lines. Sony is in a weird space now where you're right. I need to get that special sponsorship. I need to get that Red Bull sponsorship. Sony is in a really weird space that we haven't seen anybody in a long time, which is that the PlayStation 4 is selling crazy numbers. It's going to break 100 million. But not only is it going to break 100 million, the average person who owns a PlayStation 4 buys like 8 games a year, which is very, very high. So now we have this group of people who are developers who have now moved into this space where all they do is make PS4 games. They just make games, make games, make games. Look at stuff like Yakuza. That's made by Sega, and they don't even bother porting it. They only put it on the PS4, and it makes money. So I think that Sony themselves won't bother ever doing an experimental project like PlayStation All-Stars again, but I do think that somebody else will come in at some point and get permission to make their own version of it. I definitely think that we'll see another crossover Sony brawler at some point. Sunsky Infante says, you're the best Dreamcast guy. Been subscribed since 10K subscribers. It's really nice to see your channel grow. Much love from your fans here in the Philippines. Well, thank you so much there, Sansky. Funny enough, I've actually talked to a couple of my fans live in the Philippines, and it's so cool, like, getting to talk to y'all. It's so cool to like talk to people from all over the world. So obviously I went up to Canada last month, and meeting a bunch of fans in Canada was so crazy. Like, Canadian fans are very different. Like, that was such an eye-opening experience. People in different countries, they treat you differently. Like American fans, when I meet American fans at American conventions, they're like, "Oh my god, it's Dreamcast guy." But all the Canadians fans were much more like, "Hey dude, how's it going?" Like Canadian fans just talk to you like a normal friend face to face. Sometimes when I've gotten to meet people from the Philippines or the UK people are very like chill and shy, sort of like you have to like get UK people to talk to you. Philippines people are just super like positive and happy to talk to you about all sorts of stuff. It's so fun getting to different stuff about gaming. And that's definitely why I love gaming conventions so much. Someone said favorite movie based off a video game. I do kind of like the garbage Mark Wahlberg. What was that called? Max Payne. The Max Payne movie is pretty dang weird. Let's see here. Filipinos talk a lot, especially with the women. Oh god, I should not have read that comment out loud. Why would you say that? Dreamcast guy, do you think Let's Go is a good introduction to Pokemon for beginners, like they say? I think the differences will make playing Gen 8 really jarring. I'm a little bit afraid of that, but I think what they're hoping is that people will buy Pokemon Let's Go. Millions of people will buy Pokemon Let's Go, and a lot of them will be first-time fans, and it'll be their introduction. And when they jump in to Generation 8, it's going to be really, really tough. But I think that Nintendo expects them to buy a copy anyways, and it'll be difficult for them, but it'll basically catch them up to speed. It'll be like beating the game on easy and then beating the game on ultra hard. It's tough, but the most dedicated people will do it. Dreamcast guy, when do you think the 3DS will die? And what do you think about Reggie wanting to sell it in 2022? The crazy thing is, and Stealth is a big Nintendo Twitter guy. Stealth has been talking about the fact that the 3DS is actually selling faster. 3DS is selling more in 2018 than it was in 2017. Like, obviously, I've got my 3DS right the freak here. This is my giant. You guys know I'm obsessed with the color purple. Here's my giant 3DS right here. I actually have played it so much, it's dead right now. So the fact that they're still selling it doesn't shock me, but it does kind of blow my mind. Barrett Somerville donated $5 and said, thoughts on the recent censorship moves by Sony. Also, what do you think about the possibility of a new Sakura Tensen title? I don't know the Sakura Tyson series. The censorship stuff by Sony, it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm sure they have a reason for it, but it's very random. I mean, I'm not mad at Sony for doing it, but it's just one of those like, why? Like they're kind of cutting out some of the stuff that they're cutting out is like a little bit creepy dating simulator stuff, but it's also like if it's selling and it's really niche, I mean, let people do it. Oh, see here. Dark One Linux Tech Gaming donated $5 and said, what recommendation would you make if Sony decides to make another go at the handheld market with another piece of hardware? The biggest thing I think now is the handheld game has changed. Whether you love the Nintendo Switch or you hate the Nintendo Switch, the ball game is not the same. You can't release PlayStation Vita anymore. That's just not going to cut it. I think if they're going to release something, it needs to be able to play at least PlayStation 3 level stuff or PlayStation 4 level stuff. Like if you're not able to make a console experience on a handheld, nowadays it's just that ain't going to fly. So I'm hoping that they don't try and do like a budget thing. I think that there has to be super big and super deluxe. Aim Crit is my roommate, by the way, and he's in chat. And he just said, wait, Onimusha remastered. Yeah, Aim Crit. It's Onimusha remastered. I promise you, I'll try and get an early copy so we can play it before it comes out. You'll love it, man. Ted Sumo does a hilarious show, by the way, called Spawn Wave, or Spawncast Odyssey. He like remixes the Spawn podcast. Super funny. He just donated $5 with no comment. Thank you, Ted Sumo. You're the best. Somebody donated $5 and said, now that Sony pulled out of E3, how will this hurt the Expo? Also, is it me or is E3 dying? Yeah. I mean, that's That's the facts. Like, as crazy as it is, I think that E3 was slowly dying. And I think that's why they started to bring in all the fans. Now that they opened it up and anybody can walk around the convention floor, I think that was to try and make more money and get more fans in there. But the real thing I'm thinking about now is the fact that Sony leaving, I think this is going to speed it up. Like, let's face facts. Things were getting bad for E3 overall. The heat was turning down on it, but suddenly this was so dramatic, it's putting it in the freezer. Like, this is going to kill the chill. Stormy Daniels asks in chat, are you still with your girlfriend? Yep. She's super, super cool. She's at work, so I don't think she's going to see this stream, but she's probably going to be my wife. She is the coolest woman in the world. My girlfriend is so supportive. My girlfriend plays a lot of video games, and let me tell you, that is something I admire in a woman. Let me see here. Ted Sumo said, you didn't have to promote me. Ted Sumo, your stuff is hilarious, man. I like good content. I don't care if somebody has like 5 subscribers or 5 million subscribers. As long as your videos are funny and cool, I mean, I'll like them and talk about them. Saycon10 said, Dreamcast guy, if IGN or GameSpot offered you a job, would you take it? Look me in the eye. All right, everybody in chat, are you ready for my official response? Right now, if IGN or somebody like GameSpot offered me a job, I'd tell them to shove it. Nothing against those websites, but I never want to have a boss tell me what games I can review. I never want to have a boss grade my content. I want to make my stuff and put it out there and let you guys judge my work, you know? Just Another Beautiful, who has a freaking Picard profile picture, which I love. Star Trek all the way, man. Said, will you ever visit Europe for a convention? I want to. Yeah, I want to visit Europe. It's just a matter of being invited. I'll fly to a convention maybe at some point, but I'd like to, if I'm flying overseas, I'd like to try and be a guest at a convention. That way, when I go there, I can make sure I see a lot of fans, you know? What launch titles do you want on the PlayStation 5? I think something I really want is badly. I want Final Fantasy 16. I really want Final Fantasy 16 at some point. I think that we're going to see that on the PlayStation 5, but I wish magically it would come out sooner. I really want Death Stranding. I really want Grand Theft Auto 6 a lot. I don't know when those things are going to come, though. I feel like a lot of that stuff is so far away. See here, Dreamcast guy, if you could predict 5 DLC characters in the new Smash, who do you think they would be? Oh man, this is gonna be a tough one. Okay, so we know for a fact they've said that Nintendo chose all 5 of the DLC characters. So let's all brainstorm it together. Shall we, chat? Okay. Let's see here. 5 characters. So we already have the Piranha Plant, so anything is possible. I do think that we're gonna see probably another weird Link. We could see like Wolf Link becoming a solo character. I'm going to guess something like probably another Fire Emblem person because they're obsessed with Fire Emblem. Someone said Monty Mole. That's possible. Monty Mole. I would like Banjo. I think that it's possibly that we'll get Banjo from Banjo-Kazooie. And I definitely think that they're going to end it with Waluigi. I a million% think that they're going to end with Waluigi. I mean, at this point, that'd be a tough character to balance, but I think that they'll just basically end with that to make fans happy. Waluigi, oh, that'd be so good. Why did you start making YouTube videos? By the way, I love your channel, especially your rant videos. YouTube is, I was working at a bookstore at the time and I really liked the job. It paid me like nothing. I was so broke. I literally could not eat base of this job, just paid me so little. But nobody, excuse me, I keep scratching my nose. My nose itches really bad. Nobody at my bookstore played games at all. 0 people. None of my coworkers at any of the other stores played games. Nobody played games at all. And so I had come from a place where when I was young, everybody I knew played games. In high school, everybody played games. We are constantly trying to like set speed run world records and competing in Halo tournaments. And like we lived in video games. So jumping into being an adult and having a job and being in this apartment and kind of just like chilling and nobody played video games, I had this really like it like was a pain in me where it was like I needed to talk games. I needed to make stuff. I needed to edit and create and think about games. So I started making videos just because it was my way to talk. I mean, I have hundreds and hundreds of videos from back in the day that have like no views. They have like 5 views each, and nobody's ever going to find those. Like they're just so far back on my channel at this point. But you can see a lot. I think I've probably I mean, I spend about 60 to 80 hours a week working on YouTube stuff. So because of it, obviously that means I spend a lot of time playing games. I spend a lot of time doing research. I spend a lot of time editing gaming footage and writing gaming scripts. So even just counting the gaming hours, I probably game about 40 or 50 hours a week. Megalodon and a few others have asked, Dreamcast guy, have you ever shed a tear over an emotional video game moment? Yes, a lot. I would say I actually cried pretty hard when Eris died in Final Fantasy VII. Um, I was pretty little, and it was very shocking to me to see a character die. It was very stunning to just suddenly have like a character like get stabbed and die. So that one really shocked me. And I cried over Eris dying, and I also I ended up crying at the very end of The Last of Us. What happens at it, but just the very last sentence of The Last of Us, it destroyed me, like in the best way. Like it was such like a character says something to another character, and it just goes to credits, and like just having such a sharp ending to a painful story was so perfect. It got me. I also teared up a little bit at the end of Uncharted 4 just because it was such a final ending. I like that. Let's see here. Joe Schmo says, what happened to Battlefield 5? It got no real news in months. Please respond. I love your videos. So it's I cry when it's buffering. So I would say my thing is Battlefield 5 got screwed over for a lot of reasons, but I do think part of it is the fact that everybody like they did so much wrong with that. The developer saying, if you don't like the game, don't buy it. Like, don't ever say that. Like, it's the same reason anytime I've ever heard a YouTuber say the words, if you don't like that, you can unsubscribe. If you look at their numbers the next day, a bunch of people unsubscribed. I don't think you should ever tell your fan base to not buy your $60 video game. I also think the fact that they were so weird about like the game is pretty normal. It's kind of glitchy. It's not great, but it's sort of just a blah game. But they really tried to hype up the story of it and stuff, and the story sucks. I think the biggest problem is the fact that it has 4 official release dates. I'm going to end up doing it, and don't tell anybody this because I want to do a big deep dive video on this, maybe in 2 or 3 weeks. But I want to do like an investigative piece on the dumpster fire that is Battlefield 5. But I'm going to do that in a bit. I want all the fire to settle for it first. Dreamcast guy, do you think Shenmue 3 will live up to the hype? Yeah. I think it has a good opportunity. The thing is that so many of the people that are working on Shenmue 3 worked on Shenmue 1 and 2. The guy who did the music did all the music for Shenmue 1 and 2. So I feel like even though the graphics are going to be a little bit different, and we'll probably notice that the voice actors are 20 years older, I think it'll still be very much that same cool essence. My damn nose keeps itching. I apologize. Someone said, how old are you? I'm 32. I'm 32 years old. I don't feel it, but sometimes when I see all these lines on my forehead, I feel like I look 32 now all of a sudden. Let's see here. What's the worst lag in video games you've seen? I played Brink right before they took it offline. In the last couple weeks that game was out there, it was an unplayable mess. Like Brink was supposed to be this like really interesting parkour shooter where you'd actually be able to like flip around and jump on stuff and like get headshots from across the map. It was so broken, but the worst part about it was that the servers were basically on fire constantly. Seriously, that game was constantly like it was awful. See here. I'm 31 and I definitely don't feel like I'm in my 30s. Yeah, but I think that's the thing is growing older is such a slow process. I like to joke around and say that aging is slow time travel. You just keep suddenly appearing in the next year, and suddenly you're like, oh, I'm older. Oh, I'm older. Oh, I'm older again. Oh, that game's out. Oh, I'm older. You know, which was a better Zelda, Ocarina of Time, or was that which was better, Zelda? Maybe that. Oh, which was better, Zelda, Ocarina of Time, or Final Fantasy VII? Um, I think Final Fantasy VII is better, but just slightly. I think that Ocarina of Time is also like in the top 10 best games ever made. Ooh, here's a really good one. Dreamcast guy, do you think that classic WoW will be successful? Yeah. I think that classic WoW is going to have a big something that's interesting is I went over everything for WoW Classic. I looked at everything I could about it because I'm very interested in it. Oh, barking dogs. I'm very, very interested in classic WoW. I was a big fan of it back at launch, the original World of Warcraft. I hate those barking dogs. And so something about it is the fact that World of Warcraft had such a big fan base because it was so hardcore. The game was so tough. So I think that bringing back that difficulty is going to bring a lot of people in, but I think some people are going to quit. I think that 80% of people are going to stick around and 20% of the people who started at launch are going to quit. I think it's also going to help the fact that apparently if you pay for the World of Warcraft Classic subscription, it's also a subscription for the main game. So I think that it's going to be a gateway drug. I think some players of World of Warcraft are going to go to Classic, and I think some Classic players are going to go to current WoW. Beyond Two Souls is a very underrated game. I like that. Dreamcast guy, what is a game that you like that everyone else thinks is a dumpster fire? Let me think about that. There are some games that I've definitely played. A lot of people really hate on, oh my gosh, those dogs. I hope you guys can't hear that. It sounds like dogs are fighting right outside my office. I apologize. Something I really like is Silent Hill Shattered Dreams. Shattered Dreams is like a puzzle remake of Silent Hill 1. You can only play it on the Nintendo Wii and the PSP, but it was really cool. Does playing games for a living negatively impact how you enjoy gaming? No, you know, it's funny. So when I was up in Canada, some little kids asked me that. I actually met these little kids who were fans. They were both probably 10 and 12. And something they were like is like, hey, like, since you play video games for a job, is it less fun? And it's really not. I actually think that playing video games as a job has made me like it more. Like, I think that playing games on the clock and being forced to see everything about it. Oh my God, these barking dogs drive me nuts. Shut up. I'm sorry, folks. Yeah, those dogs are chewing up a copy of Battlefield 5. Oh God, what was I even saying? I was going to say, so playing video games as a job, I enjoy it more because I'm forced to recognize everything. I'm forced to take in the art style and the leveling system. I think my roommate's bringing the dogs in. Okay, y'all can barely hear it. So it's hard to know. Like, to me, that's super, super loud, but I tune this microphone so it'll only pick up my voice. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Yeah. Oh, okay, good. Yeah. To me, it sounds like they're like right next to me. Okay. So it's the dogs love your show. They do. They do. Yeah, but it's just the type of thing of So imagine if your job, if you rode a bicycle every day for fun and you liked riding your bicycle and it was like really thrilling. And then suddenly somebody came up and said, I'll pay you $50 a day to ride your bike. Well, all of a sudden you're probably going to have more fun at it because now it's your job. Now you're being paid to ride a bike. That's really how it feels to me is reviewing games puts this extra pressure on me, but I like that pressure. I like being forced to beat stuff. Excuse me. I like being forced to have to really take everything in. Thunderbox donated 5 or 10 Australian dollars and said, Dreamcast guy, what is your favorite game so far? I'm not sure if you mean ever or this year. Ever is probably Final Fantasy VII. This year, all right, don't tell anybody, but God of War. God of War is my game of the year right now. Dreamcast guy, do you think it's a good time to buy old games from last gen? Yes, from last generation. I think that right now is the perfect time to buy Xbox 360 games, PS3 games, PS2 and Xbox right now are dirt cheap. So you see that right here, I have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of original Xbox games and Xbox 360 games. These are actually 2 layers deep. See? So you can see I have like tons and tons and tons of people, like tons and tons of games even back there. I paid like 50 cents for most of those. They're so dirt cheap. Like seriously, nothing. And so I think right now is the perfect time to collect like PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, PS2, and original Xbox. Daniel Jacobson says, do people stop you on the streets and recognize you? Not very often. It's only happened a couple times. I get stopped if I'm like walking past a video game store. Sometimes people will recognize me. So it said, stop flexing your collection. I promise I'm not flexing. I'm literally talking about something. I always hate the term stop flexing. I've had this collection for like 10 years. It's not special. I think that, hold on, let me scroll up. Someone asked me something, where to go. I did get recognized a while ago. I got recognized at an IHOP. That was pretty funny. I literally went to an IHOP with my roommates. We were sitting down and this waiter guy walked up and was like, hey man, are you Dreamcast guy? And I was like, hey, I am. It was very funny. How often do you buy a collector's edition of a game? Almost never. I actually don't like collector's editions. Collector's editions take up so much room. Like it takes up a lot of space. And I have so many games. I just don't like collector's edition boxes. I own a collector's edition of Final Fantasy 15. I own the collector's edition of the movie as well, the Final Fantasy 15 movie. But it's just not for me. Let's see here. Dreamcast guy, is Red Dead Redemption 2 the furthest we've come in terms of graphics? I feel like some shots could be seen as real if you find the right spots. Yeah, JDK, yeah, man. Red Dead Redemption 2, in my opinion, is some of the most photorealistic graphics ever. Like, certain times where you're like going, especially in the swampy areas, there is lighting effects where you actually see, like, you see sunlight slowing down and like mist and water particles. And it is just so realistic. It's crazy that it's a video game. It's crazy that it's fake. You know, I feel like it's definitely the pinnacle right now of video game graphics. What did you do before YouTube? A lot of stuff. I worked at a bookstore for a bunch of years, and I worked at Walmart and Target, and I was a waiter for a bit. Let's see here. Do you think we'll get a Sly Cooper 5? No, I don't think anybody cares about Sly Cooper anymore. Like, they're good games, but you know, it's whatever. Here, and Marcel, I'm timing you out. You're literally saying nothing useful except for, are you gays? Say my name. So that's not very useful. Thanks though, bud. Let's see here. Yeah, so it said, Mr. Pete said, I used to work at Walmart. Also, it sucked. Yeah, man, dude, freaking, man, working at Walmart was hell, man. Working at Walmart was hell. I worked the overnight shift at Walmart, and it was just, every part of working at Walmart was so soul crushing. It was like, it felt like the building itself was exhausted. Let's see here. What are your thoughts on the Command & Conquer trilogy being remastered? Do you think the EA are doing this to distract from their audience from the failure of the cash grab mobile version? I think that part of the reason they're remastering it is because it's probably going to be really cheap. And I don't mean that as in like cheap as in badly done. I mean in that they already own the code. They already have the games. Like just bumping up the graphics and putting a new price tag on it is probably going to cost them $1 million, and they'll probably make $50 million off it. Like if somebody basically said, hey, do you want $1? I'll turn it into $50. Everybody would take that bet. Let's see here. What edition of Kingdom Hearts 3 will you be getting? I'm just going to get the standard edition. Well, I'm going to get, so when you get a review copy of a game, they send you the deluxe digital version, whatever version is the game plus the season pass. So that's the way it was with Final Fantasy. That's the way Spider-Man was the digital deluxe edition. So I'm automatically getting all the DLC. And they do that so that you'll review the game and then hopefully talk about the downloadable content later. Should I get Final Fantasy VII? Yes. Yes, you should. I stocked candy at Walmart for 3 months. Yeah, I was the guy who did dog food, and it was so exhausting. I would actually have to carry these like 40-pound bags of dog food back and forth all night because I was the night stock crew. So I'd literally just be getting these huge pallets of dog food, these huge bags of it, and just setting it way back in the shelves. Oh God, it hurts so bad. I was so exhausted. And so after I do that for a bunch of hours, my boss would come down and yell at me for not making every bag straight and stuff. And then I'd ride the bus home at 7 a.m. super exhausted. And so I'd sleep for a couple hours and go back to work at 9 p.m. So the whole time I worked at Walmart, I had no friends. I had no life. It was awful. Omar says, where's the Grandia collection for Switch? I know, right? Where the heck is it? I want to play that so freaking bad. Let's see here. You always give great reviews, and I always watch them before buying games. Thank you very much there, Klebo. I love making reviews so much. Making reviews is the most time-consuming. I feel like also people don't understand how much work goes into every review. Like, this week, there were technically 3 reviews, which still just blows my mind that I was able to freaking do that. But I did Spyro, Battlefield 5, and Fallout 3 or Fallout 76. Doing all 3 of those games, that was about a month of work because I got Spyro, beat it, filmed a review, did that. There was all the time that I spent in the beta for Fallout 76, power leveling my character and making friends online, so that way I could do all the co-op missions, recording all that footage, cutting that together, writing the script, recording the audio. Then Battlefield 5 was a matter of power leveling it, beating all 3 of the campaigns, finding the unlockables, testing the higher difficulties, and then ranking up separate weapons. So it's one of those things where a lot of times reviews look like this 10-minute video that's just, and there's actually weeks and weeks of homework that go into it. So this week, I'm glad all these videos blew up because my God, they stressed me out. I'm really glad they came out there. Are you strictly a console gamer or do you ever do any PC gaming? I'd say that every 3 months I play a PC game, but I'm a hardcore console gamer. So someone said, are you hyped for Sekiro Shadows Die Twice? Hell yes. If you're a fan of the overall Fallout series, what is your favorite vault do you remember? I like a lot of them. I like 111. Which one is the one where they put a robot in charge to see what would happen, and the robot kept everybody alive for like 200 years normally? And then I was like, oh, this is boring, and the robot killed everybody. It was one of the test vaults that you find in Fallout 4, I think. Oh, this is a good one. Have you ever loved a game and then gone to replay it years later and found it disappointing? Yeah, I've had that with some older RPGs. I had that specifically. We were talking earlier about the what is it called? Siphon Filter. The older Siphon Filter games are really weird. The older Siphon Filter games with their lock-on system are very clunky. The other problem with this Siphon Filter games is that they're very much about trial and error. You're just supposed to play a mission over and over again and figure out where you're supposed to walk and jump and run. There's no real guidance. And I feel like a lot of PlayStation era games kind of had that problem where they just went, okay, like, here's the world, figure it out. Chill Triad just screamed in all caps, "The Nintendo Switch Pro rumors from Review Tech USA and Super Metal Dave are believable. Your thoughts?" Well, Chill, and that's a very appropriate name for a guy yelling in chat. I think that they are believable, but I don't believe them. And I don't want to say more than that. Someone said, Nix13 said, "Don't know if you answered this, but do you think the reason Sony is not going to E3 2019 is because they're trying to make a portable PS5? I don't think they're making a portable PS5, but I do think that next year is the year of PlayStation 5. They're not going to release it. I think they're going to release it very early 2020, but I think that there's going to be a bunch of marketing. All of next year is just going to be PS5, PS5, PS5. They're going to talk about games. They're going to announce stuff. They're going to do whatever it takes to lay the final groundwork. That way they can just launch it. Someone said, "I have a question. I'm getting a new console. Which one should I get?" Really, you can't go wrong. I think the Xbox One, you get Game Pass. So you basically get hundreds of games for $20 a month. If you get the PlayStation 4, you get crazy exclusives like Spider-Man, God of War, Last of Us, Uncharted. And if you get the Nintendo Switch, you're getting portability, good ports, cool indie games like obviously Celeste, on top of stuff like Super Mario Party, Mario Kart, Super Mario Odyssey, and Legend of Zelda. So I think that if you had to pick, if I could only have one console, I'd choose PS4 because it has the most games. But I think that if I worked the job I had before and I was a little bit more broke, I'd choose the Nintendo Switch because you really can play it anywhere. If you're somebody who spends a lot of time on planes and buses or in your break room eating like a ramen lunch, the Nintendo Switch is the best because it's freaking AAA gaming anywhere. Tony says, "We need a rant on the discless Xbox. I'm very interested in that. I didn't do a rant on it today because I was trying to chill a little bit today, and I'm working on a big project for the end of the month. The discless Xbox is an interesting experiment. I think that it's probably going to be ultra, ultra cheap, but I think it could end up being a successful gamble by Microsoft. I think it really comes down to what digital games end up on it. I think it's going to it's probably going to be called the Game Pass box. Let's see here. Amber Leathman says, "I got notifications turned on for your channel, but I still never get notified." Yeah, Amber, I've heard some people say that there's actually a separate tab that you're supposed to click where you say notifications always, but I'm not sure. I just spend a lot of time looking at YouTube, so I catch a lot of people's videos since I like manually search for them. Louis Evans says, "Do you like the Fable games?" Yes, I did. I like the Fable games a lot. I read one of the Fable books and it was bad though, so just stick with the games. The Badassor has said, "How long have you been doing YouTube?" Hey there. By the way, hey, Castlemania Games. How's it going, bud? I love you too, man. You're the best. The Badassor says, "How long have you been doing YouTube?" I consider myself starting YouTube about 4 years ago. I got hardcore about 3 years ago. I made my channel 10 years ago, but I didn't do a lot with it. I did a couple Dreamcast reviews way back in the day, but I didn't really start picking it up until recently. Try putting what the... What do you wish for Christmas? Nothing, nothing. My girlfriend already told me what she's getting me for Christmas, and it's awesome. She's giving me a very special Final Fantasy gift. So everything else is awesome. Who else do you watch on YouTube? I really like watching Spawnwave, RGT85. I really like watching Metal Jesus. I'm a really big fan of some more podcasty stuff. I love Rooster Teeth. And when it comes to film, I really like watching Red Letter Media. Hey, Dreamcast guy, have you played Wonderful 101? If you have, would you do a retro review about it? I'd love to hear your opinion. I won't probably ever have time to do a retro review about it, but I really do wish we'd see it again. The Wonderful 101 is great. I did a video a couple years ago of the best Wii U games right before the Nintendo Switch came out, and I was very impressed with the Wonderful 101. I think I put that as my 8th favorite Wii U game. What's the rudest YouTuber you've met? I can't tell you that. I have met some. Seriously, look me in the eye for a second. I've met some YouTubers that are pieces of shit. I've met some YouTubers who are jerks. But you know what's really interesting is when I was about 12,000 subscribers and I went to conventions and tried to talk to people as Dreamcast guy, a lot of people treated me like garbage and said that I was dumb and didn't matter. But now I have like 120,000 subscribers. Those same dudes who used to be jerks to me, all of a sudden want to be my best friend. And it's kind of like, you guys suck. But I don't want to say their names because if they made a video calling me out, I'd have all their thousands of fans constantly sending me fucking threats and stuff. Yeah, are you cool with Review Tech USA? Yeah, I'm very cool with Review Tech USA. He's cool. I was on his show recently. Have you met AVGN? Yes, I have. In fact, I think I have a picture. Oh, my phone's off. Well, I've met Angry Video Game Nerd. He's awesome. Do you think Shenmue 3 will flop? I don't think it's going to sell many copies. What? Some of the troll questions are just so dumb. Do you like to smell your own farts? Why would you say that? Why? I'm not even going to ban you, Mike, because that's so dumb. It hurts my brain. Oh, someone else banned you. Okay, well, that's it. What game are you reviewing now? I'm reviewing Darksiders 3, and I'm playing, and I'm not sure if I'm going to review it because I'm so busy right now, but I'm playing the Sega Genesis collection on Switch. Which, you know, it's just the Genesis collection that I reviewed it on PS4. It seems to run better on Switch. Don't tell anybody that. I'm not supposed to talk about it yet. Someone said, have you played Danganronpa? Yeah, I played all the Danganronpas. They're hilarious. Someone's asking about Black Friday. I'm gonna do a video about Black Friday on Monday, I think. I kind of want to do a video called like 13. I have a list of stuff I want to buy on Black Friday, and it's 13 games. So I'm thinking about just doing for fun, doing a video that's like 13 games I'm buying on Black Friday, just so people I can talk about some of the cool deals I've seen. Oh yeah, I get every game about a month early. Oh, my dang news. That's kind of the fun part of being a reviewer, especially if you're a big fan of stuff. One of the first games I got a month early was Final Fantasy 15. And as somebody who's obsessed with Final Fantasy, I lost my mind because I couldn't talk about it. I was still working at the bookstore at the time, so I'd play a little bit of it, and then I have to go to my bookstore and sit there and just be like, Final Fantasy 15 is waiting for me right now. It was crazy. Someone said, hey, Dreamcast guy, love your channel. If I ever meet you, I have a present for you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I like gifts. Somebody, do I have it in here? Oh, where did I set it? Oh, I left it in my bedroom. Somebody gave me a book at a recent convention, and it's called Strange the Dreamer, and it's amazing. Like, the gifts that people give me are always so interesting. Like, people they don't ever just give me like a random freaking Sega Genesis game. People always give me stuff that I end up loving. So the people who just randomly give me gifts at conventions, you guys rock. Like, holy crap, y'all are 80 times cooler than my dumbass. Let's see here. Dreamcast guy, just saw your 100,000 subscriber video. It's great to see how far you've come through all the obstacles of life has thrown at you. Much respect, brother. Thank you very much there. I'm going to assume your name is Jesus. You excited for the live action Pokemon with Ryan Reynolds? Yeah, dude, that movie looks hilarious. I'm gonna freaking see that day one. That actually comes out on my birthday or my birthday weekend, so I'm definitely gonna go up there. I'm gonna try and get all my friends to go there as like part of my birthday party. Do you play any MMORPGs? If so, what would you recommend? I haven't played a bunch in the last couple of years, obviously, because I review so many games. I don't have time for MMOs. But I really did like Final Fantasy 14. It's really good and just keeps getting better. And I think that World of Warcraft, I hear good things about, but I'm definitely going back for Classic. Scott Woodward says, Dreamcast guy, is the Xbox Elite controller worth it? I hear some people like it. A $100 controller is that's too much money for me. Like, that's a lot of damn money. Like, I think I could buy a lot of food with $100. That's too much. I paid $50 for this. I paid $50 for this controller, and I love it. This is a Nintendo Switch third-party controller. It's got even all the triggers and everything. So good. So normally my rule is I don't like to pay more than $50 for a controller, ever. See here, Dreamcast guy, I love your channel. I check out every video. Quick question. You talked about Final Fantasy VIII a while back. Why is it that you think you could download it off the PS3 store, but it's not on the PlayStation 4? Because they can't upscale it. They can't redo the character models. The only thing they can put on the PS3 store is a digitized version of the ISO, which basically is like when you get a disc, this disc, if you digitize this copy of Kingdom Hearts, that would be called an ISO. This ISO, if you put that programming into a PlayStation 4, it would understand that it's a PlayStation 4 game. It would not be able to become an Xbox game, though, because they don't have this source code, just as an example. So when it comes to something like Final Fantasy VIII, they can create an ISO of the PS1 version, but they can't make an upscaled PS4 version. So I think if they manage to recobble the source code or redo the crappy Steam version, I do think that we'll see it. Oh, my damn nose. Jamal says, yeah, controllers are so expensive now. I mean, I remember when controllers were like $30. It's just it's so much. I wish that controllers being $60 is so expensive. Let's see here. When is Red Dead Redemption coming out? Or when is Red Dead Online coming out? I think it's going to come out basically the last day of November. See here. Please do a mini rant on Fallout 76. We need an opinion we could trust. You're the best in the biz. So I already did my review of Fallout 76. I'm going to be doing a special follow-up video about some investigation stuff I've done, and I think I'm going to release it maybe Sunday, or I'll release it Monday. But I've done some digging, and I managed to talk to some developers. There is a reason that Fallout 76 is so bad. A real reason. Dreamcast guy, do you have all the Resident Evil novels? Yes. Let's see here. What's your favorite game? Tell me why. I love Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII is my favorite game of all time. Super, super cool. So it says, did you hear that the Sony PlayStation Classic is using an open source emulator? Yep. Someone said, repent, the end is near. No, I'll never repent for my sins. What do you think of the Silent Hill movie? The first Silent Hill movie is good. The second Silent Hill movie is a dumpster fire. I'm probably going to do just a couple more questions here. I'm having an allergic reaction to something. I think I ate something weird. My nose was swelling up and I feel weird. Okay, 5 more questions. Anybody got a crazy cool question? When are you playing Fortnite next? Never. You're the best YouTuber. You always inspire me. Thank you very much there, Stop Motion. What is the worst game you've ever had the pleasure of reviewing? there are a lot of answers to that question. One that really kind of got me though is actually when I was reviewing what was that called? Star Fox Zero. I actually fell asleep while reviewing Star Fox Zero. Like I literally hit record and I was playing the sneaking mission in that game where you have like the little helicopter thing, and I was playing it and I actually fell asleep with the controller in my hand. That's not a joke. I literally fell asleep playing it. Let's see here. Dreamcast guy, what are your feelings on the Final Fantasy of all the Final Fantasy 15 DLC being canceled? Sorry if it was asked already. No, nobody's asked that. I am very disappointed. So my plan is when the final DLC comes out, the Arden DLC comes out next year, I'm going to do a final post-mortem on Final Fantasy 15 and talk about all my thoughts on the entire game, all the patches they did, all the stuff they tried to do to update it, and how it just did not really ever size up. Let's see here. I'll do the last question here from Castlemania Games. Castlemania, he says, do you view the original Xbox as the Dreamcast 2? In a way, it very much was. A lot of the developers that came over from the Dreamcast got fired from Sega. They started up over at Xbox. The Microsoft console has a lot in common with it. It got a lot of ports. It got a lot of sequels. So in a way, yes, the original Xbox is the Dreamcast 2. And let's face it, that's the most Dreamcast 2 we're ever going to get. That's it. I wish we were getting a Dreamcast 2 someday, but it's just not going to happen. See, Amber says, I sorted my notifications, so hopefully I won't miss any more of your videos. Thank you very much there, Amber. A lot of people saying that nose is getting redder. Yeah, I'm having an allergic reaction to something. Let me read this last super chat, and then I'm going to leave, and then I'm going to figure out why my nose is itching so bad. I apologize. I'm doing that cocaine. No, not at all. I've never done a drug in my life. Drifting Pirate Gaming donated $5 Canadian and said, what was your motivation to continue YouTube at the beginning? Any tips for new YouTubers? The biggest thing is you got to be able to motivate yourself. You need to be able to wake up, write a script, record audio. You need to be able to edit video at 3 a.m. just as well as you edit video at 3 p.m. Making content and growing a channel is just about doing it and doing it and doing it, learning and growing, correcting mistakes, and figuring out how you can expand on ideas. That's really it. From the very start, I had a lot of fun with it. So even when videos were getting like 5 views, I still had fun making them, so I kept doing it. I remember when my first video got 100 views, and it was so crazy cool to me. And so I made another 10 videos. You know, it's just one of the things of, if you want to get good at YouTube, you got to be willing to just make stuff day or night on whatever topic because you like it. And that's kind of the secrets. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for the cool donations and everything. Everything is that's gotten in this thing today is going towards the Feeding America charity. Feeding America is a special charity that basically provides meals to people in need. And right now they're over in California helping all the people that are currently homeless due to the fires. So thank you for all the super chats. You're literally putting food in children's mouths. You guys rock. Thank you everybody for tuning in and the great questions. So do me a big favor and keep dreaming.